Hello and welcome back to Speed Demon Painting. A new blog post was released today showing off what is going to be released during March. Last month we saw the release of the Enlightened for Armoured Clash, and so this month there's the follow-up release for that where all the different boxes are released separately. I've actually just uploaded a review video of these miniatures, so if you want to have a closer look at those, I definitely recommend checking out that video after you're done with this one. Now, the follow-up releases for the Enlightened were to be expected, of course, but something that sort of came out of the blue, literally, are the airplanes crashing into the dystopian age. For this release, we're seeing 4 smaller boxes, such as this type, for the 4 factions, and inside of it we can find one of the aircraft for each faction. The first one being the Defiance fighter for what seems to be the Crown, and I do like the fact that it's got a rear turret on here. It sort of explains why as well in the lore tidbit, but yeah, really solid release, reminding me of the Royal Air Force from back in World War II, but you know, the dystopian age is all about the whole history being scrambled, and a bit of anachronism here and there is precisely what makes this universe. The roadmap previously showed that around this time we would be getting a campaign book for Dystopian Wars and Armoured Clash together, but it seems that there was a change of plans and they actually released the aircraft for Armoured Clash now, so the 4 factions that are effectively out are getting some air support for this month. And of course, if you're interested in anything Dystopian Age related, make sure that you subscribe to the channel for any future videos. And having released the review video for just a few days ago, I can see that they are using these bases with sort of the land texture on there as well in these releases. So I imagine it's going to be a resin aircraft with some flight stems and then one of these bases to go with it. The similar release is made for the Empire, where we're seeing the Doksuri fighter, and yeah, this is really a nice, glorious model. We of course know these in the smaller 2mm SRS tokens from Dystopian Wars, and it is so nice to see them in full detail at this 10mm scale. Now, all subscribers to the channel already have seen my force for both the Crown and the Empire from the Battle for Singapore set, and adding some of these ones, the Empire one and this one from the Crown, is really going to catch the eye. If I have to take a guess about how big these bases are the same size as what you would expect from Mass 1 ships in Dystopian Wars, so these sort of seem to fall in between Mass 1 ships from Dystopian Wars and the larger cruisers, so I imagine they would be roughly the same size as some of the smaller cruiser types we can find in Dystopian Wars. And I suppose the big lucky guys of this all are the Enlightened, who are immediately getting their air support with the Scythe drones that, from the look of it and from the description in the blog, come with full particle beamers in the nose cannon here. They have this sort of a drone creature struck underneath the cockpit. That is of course very difficult to do with sort of transparent parts, but yeah, very cool looking sci-fi-esque model, and it really blends into that range that we've seen in the review, where they are out of this world and very alien in their design. The Union is also getting its release, which is called the Corsair Fighter, and out of the 4 of them, I have to be honest, I like this one the best. It's got that very cool engine block that I try to painstakingly paint every single time on my SRS tokens, but it's quite difficult at that small scale to sort of, you know, convince people that there's a bit of an engine block sticking out, but it's got this going on the larger 10mm scale, and it's got this lovely icon from the Union built into the wings and the fuselage and everything. It looks really, really great, and yeah, you can definitely go to town with the cockpit, which I think the painting team has done a great job on this particular model, sort of mimicking glass, which is really, really fun painting channels. I can't wait to show you how that's done in a painting video soon. And yeah, it's got some lovely detail on there as well with these rotors in the back, all of these sort of air vents on the wings. It just makes for a very, very cool silhouette for this fighter. And speaking of being very alien in their design, you can actually now get multiple of these big walkers that I was showing off separately thanks to this new box set. It's called the Wells Battle Group set, but of course you can either build the Wells Super Heavy Surveyor, which is the build variant I made initially, but also the Horsell Super Heavy Extractor. So I can imagine seeing myself picking up an extra one of these just to make the alternate variant, because these parts here were quite tricky to magnetize. I'm not saying it's impossible, but magnetization isn't exactly my strong suit, so I just sort of kept it at a single build for now. Also, the fact that you're just getting more of these tripods, miniatures that I absolutely love in this set, is just an extra bonus as well. But, like I said in my review, you are going to have to be careful which variant of these three you're going to be able to build, because you have to use some of the plastics parts either on the Wells Super Heavy Surveyor, then you won't be able to make the Mars, and if I'm not mistaken you won't be able to make the Phobos Assault Tripod if you have to use these pincer claws in the Horsell Super Heavy Extractor, so keep that in the back of your mind. That is only a small limitation though, because for the crab crawlers you can build whatever version you want really. You can make the Europa artillery crawlers that are specialized at shooting at heavy targets. You can make the Enceladus mortar crawlers, which are made to shoot at infantry, and then you've got the more melee orientated variants, the Callisto assault gatherers. So that's really cool to see that you're not just stuck with sort of long-range artillery, but you can make a melee variant out of it as well. Makes this an interesting kit. And I say that they were getting air support, but they actually sort of have it already, because they have the first hovercraft kind of vehicles, the VTOLs, the Sickle Gyro Calf cohort, and I showed a small conversion where you can still use the see-through stems, of which you should be having a few extras if you're buying the fighter aircraft, so that's always nice and convenient. You're also getting more K9 gun dog packs and these heavy construct Devastator cohorts, of which I showed you that you actually have multiple poses, 2 of them in the sprue, and that you can have multiple weapon attachments on their arms to sort of make them all a bit more individual. And if you're looking to just straight up increase the amount of walkers you have in your force, you can also have the Enlightened Armoured Regiment without the big super heavy, so you can have more of these tripods, the Mars, the tripod, the Deimos and the Phobos, and of course all the ones we have just reviewed. And if you just want to drown the opponent in bodies, you can also go for that type of playstyle with the Enlightened, because well, their citizens have 8 bases to them, and they've got quite a bit of a nifty rule where you can almost sacrifice them, if you will, for extra heavy firepower. So if you're the sort of commander that likes to just throw bodies at your opponent, you can also do that with the Enlightened, which is really nice to see. And if you want a bunch of extra cavalry, you sort of have to choose between making the Strider Calf cohorts or the Monocalf cohorts in your initial box. So if you want to take the other alternative build, this is also quite an easy way to expand your force this way. And of course, extra Seeker, Outrider cohorts and Hellion cohorts are also going to be quite useful. We have found, especially if you're using a lot of terrain, that these Jumpak troops can be quite handy. So having more of them is probably going to be a smart choice. Although I do have to say the reign of terror on the battlefield might be over very soon, because now that aircraft are hitting the scene, you're probably going to expect a bit more anti-air firepower in all different forces, so it's quite nice to see how that's going to shake up the meta, if you will. And while I really do like the paint job that the studio has gone for, I'm going to be aiming for these sort of orange overalls with them, with some dark blue or black what are they, chaps that they are wearing, sort of have them look like a bunch of prisoners almost, taken by the Enlightened and converted into these morbid constructs that they call citizens in a very macabre kind of way. Of course, Warcradle made it quite clear that they wouldn't just be abandoning Dystopian Wars when Armoured Clash came out, and so far they've been making good on their promises. Dystopian Wars is getting a new release, which is the Gotham Battlefleet set, which is an Easter egg name that we've seen in their Orbat for a while now. These are some older vessels from back in the Ore War days of the Union, which is sort of their version of the Civil War in the dystopian age, which is a beefy old chunky design, and I really like it, especially with the 4 panel wheels on them. That is clearly aimed at launching either pacifiers or the Terminators if you're talking about the SUSA. The star of this box is of course the Gotham class heavy carrier, the one that has a lot of these Talon assault tokens, both in the front and in the back as well, which is really cool to see that you can probably repair quite a few of them, and assault tokens are a good way to clear the ground assault tokens on islands, so I can see this one being quite useful if you're going to go for the landing missions. And let's be honest, the Union already sort of had a leg up on that one with the Senator box that was released recently, and this might just reaffirm their land domination. Firepower wise, it comes with 4 rocket batteries. They have been recently tweaked in the Orbat for the Commonwealth, and I do hope that is a change that makes its way to the rest of Dystopian Wars as well, because rocket batteries were sort of like meh in the rules, but they're really quite nice now in the Commonwealth Orbat, so I'm hoping that this can give them an update to the Union as well to make those rocket batteries more useful. And of course, it is not just the flagship that you're also getting the needed SRS tokens that are lovely painted up in here. And for the first time, we're seeing some painted up models for these as well, and the studio did a great job capturing that. I always love the way that they do their gold parts, very dramatic with heavy shading and heavy highlights to sort of get that almost non-metallic metal feel, whilst they're still using metallics from what I gather. They also got a nice variation on the planks, so it's nice to sort of like look in awe at just how well these things are painted up. Now, it does mention the Saratoga on the blog itself, but I'm not entirely sure if you will be able to build this variant, because I think the Gotham is going to be cannibalizing the parts for the Talon assault tokens. I can't quite remember how many of these platforms you get on each sprue, but from the looks of it they are including 2 of them, so I don't think you'll be able to make this box for the Gotham, but the Sumter as well, same deal. You might not be able to make this variant because the Gotham is taking up all of those parts. And of course, you're getting the cutest little models in the dystopian age range, the little escorts and the Springfield class corvettes, which are really good at protecting your own ships as well, so you can make some fun lists using these miniatures too. This box is meant to be used by 2 factions, both the Alliance and the Union. If you're taking them for the Alliance, they will be the SUSA, the Socialist Union rather of South America, and for the Union, of course, they will be the traditional American force. And that is it for these month's releases. A bit of a shake-up compared to the roadmap that we saw earlier on. That roadmap has been updated on the Discord as well. So if you're not part of the Discord from Warcradle Studios, definitely join that one, because they do try to keep their customers up to date with what they are doing. According to this roadmap, the campaign book that is going to be released for both Armoured Clash and Dystopian Wars has been pushed back for the autumn of this year. That means that there is a large window in the summer for Dystopian Wars that is sort of open now, so I can't wait to see what happens for that game as well when that time comes. That's all speculation on my part, though. I do hope to see you in the next video, and I do hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, remember to give it a thumbs up, and I hope to see you in the next video. Until then, bye!